Starting off with the latest on the war between Israel and Hamas this morning. Palestinian officials say Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza's biggest hospital as fighting continues on both sides. Those were explosions heard outside the Al-Shifa hospital, where doctors were seen using flashlights to tend to patients after the hospital ran out of fuel and power. The territory's healthcare system has been deteriorating since the war broke out. According to the health department in Gaza, 21 out of the total 35 hospitals in the Strip have closed since October 7th. The CBC's Briar Stewart is in Jerusalem. She's tracking the very latest on the fighting. Briar, what is the situation today?
Well, we know that the fighting around the Al-Shifa hospital remains intense, and we know that firsthand because we managed to reach a doctor who's head of plastic surgeries at the Al-Shifa hospital, and communication is obviously very bad in the area. We had to call him 5 or 6 times just to be able to have a brief conversation with him. And he said, well, he could not see the Israeli military because the complex of the hospital is so large, and there's buildings all around. He said it was clear they were in the area. We could hear explosions, we could hear gunfire, and the situation inside the hospital, he says, is very dire. You had about 500 patients inside the hospital, which is now operating without electricity. The internet is down, and there is some conflicting reports about whether any medical treatment is being able to be provided at the hospital now. He said there is still one small operating room that is functioning. But, there have been calls for the hospital to be evacuated, for patients to leave. And while we were speaking with him, Dr. Ahmed Makalati said that it is too difficult to talk about this because these patients, in many cases, are hooked up to ventilators. Take a listen.
Well, you can hear the noise around. We are back to the same thing, which has been the situation for more than 24 hours now. It's totally unsafe place. You don't know what's the thing to do, but we know something. We have a commitment towards our patients. We have 63, I think, patients in the ICU with ventilators. They have to evacuate them to places where the ventilators will be provided.
So you can hear just some of the explosions in the background of our conversation there. Now, Israel says that it is moving closer towards these hospitals because he says Hamas is staging some of their operations not only beneath them in tunnels and even command centers, but Israel says that in some cases they've seen Hamas fighters in the hospitals themselves. I asked the doctor about that. He said that there isn't anybody in his hospital that has a weapon. He says that they have invited the international community to come and take a look. But obviously right now you have a very tense situation, and he did say that of the thousands of people who have been sheltering at the hospital in the grounds around it, he said that now about 80% of them have left, and Israel says over the last 3 days about 150,000 in North Gaza have moved towards the south.
Wow.